Daniel, and today I'm going to be giving you guys a tutorial on how to write and record a song using Logic Pro X on an Apple computer. So if you like this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And if this one does well, then I'll continue to be making videos in the future. If you guys have any technical questions, make sure you leave them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them, or maybe I'll make a video going forward. So, like any of your favorite bands may tell you, an awesome song starts out with an awesome guitar riff. So this is the one that I've chosen to do this tutorial with. Alright, I'll make this screen a little smaller so you can see Logic here. Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do is play this guitar riff probably with a metronome so you can get about the beats per minute that your riff's going to be going towards. So I'm going to set mine up at 90 beats per minute, enter under tempo here, and then you're going to want to make sure that you have this mixer icon highlighted like so, and then we're going to make a new software instrument track under tracks. We're going to go to sculpt, and we're going to go to AU instruments under tune track here. I prefer to use ezdrummer. There's a lot of other different drumming softwares that you could use, but I prefer to use ezdrummer. So I'm going to go down to my custom kit that I made. If you guys have any questions about that, do my best to answer them. So you can go to browse or search to start looking for a drum sample that'll meet your guitar riff. I already have one chosen, but you can kind of go down through the variations here and you can find anything and just kind of drag it down here into Song Creator, and it'll give you different options that you can pick from, and you can easily just pull these right on over into Logic. But I'm just giving you guys that as an example. I already have mine pulled up in Logic here, so we'll just delete that. Alright, so for the guitar, I'm using the Focusrite Scarlett interface. I've used some other ones. I've also had problems with those. The Scarlett's working great. Strongly recommend it. So I'll give you guys a rundown of that and how I have it plugged into the computer now, and we'll get this thing going. Alright, so right here we have the Scarlett Focusrite 1820, which I'm using to record with, and I've got the Marshall JVM, which you heard earlier, plugged into that. I got it plugged in through the back, and on the back of the Scarlett here, it goes into the Mac using a USB. It plugs in the back. So once we get all that hooked up, you're going to want to plug the amp head. I'm using mine direct. You guys can use, I prefer to use Shure SM57 to record my guitar cab, but when I'm using direct line, you want to make sure that you have an amp. I'm using mine, it's like a microphone input here that I'm using a line out, and I do that into the back of the Scarlett here, and we run that into the computer. So after you get all that hooked up and you make sure you have an amp head that can do a direct line like that, if not, then I guess you're gonna have to go the microphone route and plug up a microphone, which I cannot do at this point because I am in an apartment. So I got my setup used to use direct line. So now we have the amp that we want to use plugged into the interface, plugged into the computer. So what we're going to do is we're going to go on over to Logic here and create a new track. We're going to make sure we have audio selected, make sure you get the input in which you plugged your amp into the audio interface and create a new track, which I have already done so and recorded the guitar track with the drum track that I had selected for it earlier from ezdrummer. So let's give that a listen and see how it sounds. Alright, so as you can tell, it's a little bit repetitive with the drums, so we're going to want to mix that up a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up here and create a new software instrument track and go through the same process that we did opening up ezdrummer earlier. So I'm going to make sure we go down here to Sculpt, make sure AU Instruments, Tune Track, open that up. I'm going to select my custom kit here. Go ahead and drag that off the screen so you guys don't have to look at that. There's enough stuff to look at here. Alright, so with my MIDI keyboard, I'm just going to go ahead and play along to this to kind of get a drum feel that I want to get going with it. Alright, so basically what I did there is just a standard back and forth kick and snare, and I'm going to take this and use the scissor tool here. Let me make this screen a little smaller so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Make sure you use the scissor tool here, and it's going to bring up all your snare and bass drum hits. And you can use these tools to make your screen bigger or smaller here. And I'm going to want to make all of these hits stronger. You can do that by the meter here on the left. And also I am going to want to quantize them, and that what that means is that you're going to put all the beats directly on time, to where if anything that I did earlier is off beat, it will fix it automatically. So as you can see, it just rearranged all of that to where it's going to be on beat. And I'm going to make this sync right there on these two beats. I'm going to replace this, drag this over here, so I have those kick drum accents within the second part of the riff. I'm going to bring these up. I'm going to copy, Control C and Control V. Make sure you have your the right thing highlighted here. Command V. Alright, so once we get our track posted there, I'm going to delete all of these snare and bass hits. So all we have left is the cymbals. And then we're going to take the snare and drum hits that we had before. We're going to copy, Command C, and bring those up into the cymbals from the track we had selected, and Command C, put them right in there. So now let's hear what it sounds like. Go ahead and delete this because we won't need that anymore. So as you can hear, I kind of I have more of a basic drum beat at the beginning, and then for the second part of the riff, I have more of an accent drum beat, which makes the riff sound more strong, and it gives more diversity to the drums as if it was a real drummer. So this is a great way to write a riff, and if you have a real drummer, then they can write their own riffs to it and put their own fills in there. And this is just a great way to kind of mix up the drums and create your own drum fills as you go along and build a song. So that's how I do it. If you ever want to come up here to the drums and change any cymbals or anything that you may want to change later on, it's very easy to do. You can just highlight cymbals and you can kind of drag wherever you want all over the place. You can switch it up to toms or get some different cymbals going on there. Just click and drag. So Command Z will always put you back where you were before. And as you can see here, I've recorded other guitar tracks. It's good to not copy and paste the guitar track and actually go back and get a second performance, because it makes the guitar stronger. And you can see here that I have a bass guitar, and I have them all listed. That way I don't get confused when I'm recording and layering tracks to where I want to go in and change the bass guitar and I'm accidentally doing a guitar. So you can always list them just by double clicking and renaming them. And you can also press highlight the track here, and option C will take you to where you can change the color of a track. So that way the bass will be a different color from the guitar, so you're not getting confused. That's something I do to help me out. And so I think that pretty much does it for a rough song. This is great for getting the foundation of a song. I always get a rough guitar track and I go back and re-record my guitars. And make sure that you're changing your strings before you get a final take on anything too. I normally throw my strings in the freezer. That way it'll expand the molecules and it's like a already play through. So I play on a Floyd Rose too, so getting that extra pull on the strings from the freezer, you know what I mean? It's kind of like a pre-playthrough. So that's kind of the what I do before I go into recordings. Make sure you change your strings, make sure you get a good performance, make sure your guitars aren't peaking. There's no way to go back and change that. You got to get a good performance and you have to get a good recording, and there's just nothing else to it. But this process can help you if you're taking it to a drummer, they want to write their own drum parts. This is a great way to get ideas for a band, or this is a great way to get a foundation for a song. So I'm going to leave it at that. If this video does well, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, like I said, and I can make some more videos going forward of how to do some mixing and different techniques that I do with Logic to do any of that. But I went ahead and put in the extra guitar tracks and the bass, and I'll let you guys hear that, and I'll leave it at that. So make sure you like the video. Thanks.